Hello everybody and welcome back to Gaming on Caffeine. My name is Isaac and we are back for episode 13 of Feed the Beast Infinity Evolved. And before we get started with today's episode, I would like to let you guys know, if you didn't already, that between this episode and last episode, I did do a live stream on this mod pack, which you can go and watch if you would like to. There will be a link in the description. We didn't do a whole ton of stuff, so don't worry if you don't want to watch it, you're not missing out on just like a bunch of stuff that we did. Basically, we made ourselves some Tinker's tools, including the lumber axe and the excavator. We made some more armor, and for the most part we did some exploration, looked at some people's bases, gathered some resources, stuff like that. So if you would like to watch that, there'll be a link down in the description. If you don't want to watch it, don't worry too much, you didn't miss all that much stuff. But without further ado, last episode we were working on getting ourselves the alchemy catalyst from Botania so that we could start to progress into upgrading our blood altar and therefore kind of progress down the magic tree as a whole. Now, last episode we mainly focused on getting the golden chalk, which required the ritual chalk, which needed the tear of the goddess as well as this gypsum here. And we pretty much got all that stuff. We got ourselves the distillery and we got ourselves the altar from the witchery, but we also need the rest of the stuff in this setup here. Now, one of the easier-ish things to get here is going to be the blaze lamp. Now, to get the blaze lamp, we need 9 blaze rods, and there are a couple of ways that we can get blaze rods. We could, if we wanted to, go to the nether, fight 9 or 10 or 12 blazes, however many it's going to take, to get 9 blaze rods, and then make the blaze lamp. That would be a fairly easy way to do it. However, I have been to the nether. There aren't that many nether fortresses around. I actually couldn't find any, and so finding a blaze would take quite a long time, and also, we don't have that great of a set of armor going, and I don't think that we would fare well against a number of blazes. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use this recipe here, and we are going to compress 5 blaze powder down into a blaze rod, which means we need 45 blaze powder. And now you're thinking, Isaac, how are you going to get 45 blaze powder? Well, you can actually make blaze powder. Well, my first, actually, I did try and do this thing here, cinder pearls, but I think in expert mode, cinder pearls are turned off or something. I went walking for ages and couldn't find a single desert with cinder pearls in, so we're not doing it that way. Instead, we're going to do it this way over here using a fluid transposer with some glowstone and some destabilized redstone. And to do that, we're going to need a 45 glowstone, which I think we might actually have, as well as destabilized redstone, which is made in a magma crucible. So we're going to need 2 more thermal expansion machines, and to get those, we're of course going to need 2 more thermal expansion machine frames, which are made over here in the assembly table. So, between episodes, I went ahead and got all of the stuff again that we need to make a machine frame. So, what I'm going to do to start with is I'm going to set that going. That's going to take quite a while to actually go ahead and make the machine frames, but in the meantime, we can work on some of the other stuff. So, the first thing that we should work on is getting these alchemical chemistry sets. These are made in the blood altar with a brewing stand. The brewing stand does require a blaze rod, so we are going to have to get that other stuff ready and get the blaze rods beforehand, but we can start on the blood magic section of this because we need to get some blood into the blood altar to actually do some of these rituals, and to do that, we are going to need what is known as a sacrificial dagger. That's this guy over here, and the recipe has of course been changed because it's expert mode, and to make this, we need a mana pearl as well as 1,000 millibuckets of blood. Now, my first question is, do we have an ender pearl? Because I didn't check before the episode started. I thought we did have one, but apparently we don't. So, one thing we're going to have to do is go and try and find some endermen and get ourselves an ender pearl. The other thing we're going to have to do is get 1,000 millibuckets of blood into the smeltery. Now, there are a few ways we can do this. One way is that we could drop mobs in there or try and lure mobs into there. As you can see, some mobs have been in here, and we do have 20 millibuckets worth. We could stand in it ourselves. If I stand in like so, we look at the controller here. Every so often, we do take damage, and you get 5 millibuckets of blood. But both of those ways would take absolutely forever, and instead what you can do is if we go ahead and type in blood, and then go, actually, let's go back to sacrificial dagger. And if we click on the blood here, you can see that if we put, for instance, congealed blood or bloodstained brick into the smeltery, we actually get a lot more millibuckets of blood. So, to make bloodstained brick is actually a lot easier than you might think. All we need is some smooth sandstone and then either some raw beef or some zombie brains, both of which we actually have a ton of, because during the live stream I mentioned before, we actually killed a bunch of cows for quite a bit of leather, so we have quite a lot of raw beef, and just in general, we have a lot of zombie brains. We've got 77 over here as well, which is pretty cool. I'm going to use the raw beef because the recipe's a bit cheaper. I also got a bunch of sand with our new excavator, which is basically a shovel that mines in a 3x3 area, and all we need to do for this is go ahead and craft this up into sandstone, and I think craft it again into smooth sandstone, and then combine that with the raw beef here, And that gets us bloodstones. That gets us 16 bloodstones. Each one gives 100 millibuckets, so 10 of these will get us the 1,000 millibuckets that we need to actually go ahead and make this work. So we'll put those in there. That should give us 1,000 millibuckets of blood. We do actually still have some resident ender in our smeltery from when the enderman stood in there. I didn't mean to do that at all, but that's fine. We just wasted some bronze. Nevertheless, let's pick that up, and I think what we should be able to do here is if we actually just put some resident ender into the casting table, I think we can actually get just an ender pearl. Now, I'm not 100% sure on that, so I'm going to check the recipe real quick. So it turns out that to make an ender pearl using the smeltery, you have to use either a pan cast or a gem cast. So what I've gone ahead and done is I've made a pan stencil, and if we go ahead and make ourselves a cobblestone pan and then drop some of this molten gold over it, that should get us a pan cast, at which point we can then pull out 2 ender pearls worth of resident ender here, which is pretty cool. And we also have 830 millibuckets of blood there. I'm not quite sure how that worked. We put 8 in, that's why we didn't put 10. My math is completely off there. We should only have to put actually 2 more of those in for that to work. So just to not waste lava, I'm not going to put the rest of those in. And we might as well actually go ahead and pull out the rest of that resident ender as well, just so we don't have things kind of clogging up the smeltery. Whilst we're waiting for that to finish, what we can do is we can go ahead and stick this into the mana pool. I think we should have more than enough mana in the mana pool for this to become a mana pearl. If not, we can always throw some coal coke down over our ender flames, and everything should be pretty much good to go. Let's give it a test. Yep, we've got more than enough good stuff. And once we've got this, our blood should be pretty much done. I also think that the machine frames for the magma crucible and the fluid transposer are almost done as well, which is pretty cool. That is done. That's 1,000 millibuckets. I'll take you, and then we'll go boom and boom, and that should get us a sacrificial dagger. One day. Ta-da! There we go. Nice. Alright, so basically, all we have to do with this sacrificial orb is go ahead and right-click near a blood altar. Like so, and it will take a health bar off us, and it will put, I think, like 100 millibuckets of blood, maybe? I'm not quite sure on the exact number, but it will take hearts off us and transform those hearts into blood, which is in the blood altar. There is a little sigil that we can make, and we probably will make later on, maybe in today's episode. They'll tell us how much blood is currently in our blood altar. We're definitely going to need that at some point in the future, but what I'm going to do for now is let's go quickly check on our stuff down here. These are both done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go away. I'm going to get all the stuff that we need to make a fluid transposer and a magma crucible. And by that, I basically mean all the copper gears, all the redstone reception coils, the buckets, the glass, that kind of stuff. The stuff you've seen me make all like 100 times before. So I'm going to get all the stuff we need to make both of those, and I'll be back in a second. And a little while later, now that we have all of the resources, we should be able to make the magma crucible and the fluid transposer. So I think the fluid transposer is going to be the easier of the two. For the magma crucible, we do need 2 nether brick and a leadstone energy cell. We should be able to get that fairly easily if we do something like this. And then I have gone ahead and smelted up some netherrack into some nether bricks in the furnace. So we'll do that. Boom. And boom. Nice. All right. So we now have ourselves a magma crucible and a fluid transposer. We're getting ourselves quite a nice thermal expansion setup here. For now, I'm going to put them just like there and there because we don't really have too much space for all of our stuff. They should start to slowly gain power. Now, our power situation is not great right now. We have the one water wheel from Immersive Engineering, so this guy might take a while, especially the magma crucible, but I did go get some more glowstone whilst I was away. And now, all we need to do is basically turn all of our redstone, or a lot of our redstone, into destabilized redstone. It takes 2 redstone and 1 glowstone to make 1 blaze powder. You can see this is going to be real slow, but it will get there eventually. I will then put the glowstone in there. We only need, what was it, 45? Actually, though, we need even more than that, though, because then we need the 2 extra blaze rods for the alchemical chemistry set. So I'll leave that there for now. We will make sure this is all set up right. We want this to be blue, and we want this to be orange. I think that's right. Yep, there we go. And ta-da, we got ourselves our first blaze powder. Nice. So that is going to take a while. We are gaining more power than we're using, which is good. So eventually, this thing should be running at max speed. Well, max speed with no upgrades. So that should be pretty good. While it's doing that, we can work on a few other things. There's not really much point in us working on too much more blood magic just yet. We can go ahead and do this real quick. Just give up a bunch of hearts and then let them heal up and basically just give some stuff to the altar. But there is another part of the alchemy catalyst that we need to make before we can actually make it, and that is the Salis Mundus from Thaumcraft, which is made by smelting up a balanced shard, which is made in a crucible, which we've made a few times but never actually used. So, for that, again, we are going to need some more iron plates. Last episode, I think I made the mistake of putting in 2 iron plates per plate, which I think is how it's done with steel. But with the crucible and with iron, you actually only need 1 iron per iron plate. And it might actually be that way for steel as well. I'm not actually too sure. But anyway, we'll put our iron into there. And we've already got 2 already. That's fine. That's going to go ahead and get us the iron plates. We are then going to need some water as well as some lava. So I'm going to get both of those. And a little while later, once we've got all of the iron plates again, all we need to do is make a normal Minecraft cauldron, stick it down somewhere, and for now, I'm going to put it outside, because the way the crucible actually works is much like the witch's oven, it requires a heat source below it. This time, we're going to use lava, and again, I don't want to put lava down near my lovely oak wood floor in there, so we're going to put it down out here. We're going to right-click it with our wand. It then becomes a crucible, at which point the way that the crucible works, or the way that you make things in the crucible, is we put down water inside the crucible. It should then begin to boil any second now, and if we look up the recipe again for the Salis Mundus in here, it's a balanced shard, which is made by throwing any shard into the crucible with 2 of every other aspect in. So for example, if we throw an air shard in, we need 2 ignis, 2 aqua, 2 terra, 2 predator, and 2 order. If we throw a fire shard in, we need 2 of everything else apart from fire. Now, we don't actually have any aqua shards. I'm not quite sure why we don't have any water shards, but we have 1 of every other one. So, what we're going to do instead is we're going to have to use a different item to get those water shards, to get those water aspects, if you will. So, basically, what we need to do is we need to pick a shard that's going to be kind of our base shard. I'm going to go with air because we have a ton of air and not a lot of anything else. And we need to make sure there are 2 of every other aspect in that crucible before we throw the air shard in. Now, we could use any items in the game for this. For example, if we were to scan, say, this netherrack, like right here, and we scanned it with our thermometer, we can see that netherrack has both terra and ignis in. So what I could do is I could throw 2 netherrack into here, and we would have more than enough terra and more than enough ignis in the crucible to complete the ritual. But an easier way to do that is also to just kind of throw these in, because if we look at the entropy shard, for example, it contains 2 of the predator that we need. If we throw down terra, it contains 2 of the terra that we need. So I'm going to throw 1 of each shard in apart from air. So fire, order, entropy, air, and you should be able to see what's inside this. Oh, I think my goggles are revealing to see what's actually inside the crucible. But we'll throw that in, and then for water, we're going to use a bucket of water because we don't actually have any water shards. That's going to get us the aqua that we need. We should now be able to just go ahead and throw in, I guess, our earth shard, because I threw in my air shard. And there we go. We got ourselves a balanced shard. Now, you're going to want to make sure that you get rid of this cauldron pretty quickly, because you can see stuff's kind of starting to go purple, and it's bubbling over quite a bit. And that is because there is a buildup of flux going on, and when you break it, that flux will be released. If you've got an open sky, it will just kind of float up and away. If you're indoors, you'll have a bit of flux all over the place that you've kind of got to get rid of. You can get rid of it just by putting blocks down around it, but you need to be careful. If you touch that stuff, you get the flux flu, which isn't, like, devastatingly bad, but it's not great to have. So we now have ourselves a balanced shard, which we can then go ahead and smelt up in here to get ourselves the Salis Mundus that we're after. So I'll throw you in there. Let's get ourselves a quick bit of charcoal, I guess. We'll throw you in there. Let's do a little bit of a checkup over on our blaze rods, see how these guys are doing. We have 41 in total, which is actually almost the 45 that we need to make the blaze lamp. We do need to compress all of these up, so we need to make sure we throw them all into the compressor to actually get the blaze rods. And other than that, I think we're pretty much there with everything that we need. We do need the golden chalk, which means we need all this stuff here. I think I have pretty much everything we need to make the normal chalk. We obviously have a ton of wood ash. I did make some more of this gypsum between episodes, so we have that. I'm fairly certain that I made the tears of the goddess, or at the very least, I made the breath of the goddess, which will probably be in this chest over here. It is not. I'm fairly certain that I made it, though. I did. It's over here in the witch's oven, so if we take that out and throw it into here with our lapis lazuli and one of our clay jars, that should start to work on getting the chalk, I think. Is that right? We need Breath of the Goddess, Lapis, and 3 clear bottles. Okay, so we'll put 3 clear bottles in the bottom there. That should start to draw power from over here. You can see it's working significantly faster now than it was before, and that's because the altar has had some time to build up whatever this is, and I guess when it builds it up, it can then do it a lot faster. Before we were kind of like, we didn't have any in the altar and we were using it up straight away, so it was a bit slower, but that is doing its thing over there. The blaze rods are on their way to being made. We actually only need like 4 more to make that actual lamp, so let's have a quick look over here and see if those are now done. They are. We do need to put some more redstone into here to get some more of those blaze powders, so we'll throw that in there. Let's go finish this up over here. We do need a total of 11, I think, because we need 9 for the lamp, as well as 2 more for both of the alchemical chemistry sets. So we'll go over those in a second. That gets us Tears of the Goddess. We can then go and grab some of our wood ash, of which we have an absolute ton at this point. I will go ahead and just take all of you. And over in our crafting station, we can do something like this. Boom, boom, with the goddess tier, as well as this gypsum stuff in the middle. And that gets us some ritual chalk. I believe we have some mandrake root lying around, if I'm not mistaken. So apparently we didn't have any mandrake root, but again, that is fine. We can go ahead and bone meal some fairly easily, like so. And then all we gotta do is, once again, grab quite a few buckets worth of water to fill up our witches over. For now, I'm just gonna dump this lava right about there. Let's see here, 1 and 3. And once all those are in, all we need to do is throw these things in order. So mandrake root with a golden nugget and the chalk, and that should get us some golden chalk. So we'll go boom, boom, and boom. And that should work. Okay, so apparently the Witch's Cauldron on its own cannot make the golden chalk. It needs to have some power coming from the altar. So I moved the altar outside, and it still didn't work. So I did a little bit more research into Witchery, and it turns out that inside the altar, we can only have 1,303 power, and in order to make the chalk, we need at least 2,800 power in our altar. So what we need to do now is actually upgrade our witchery altar so that it can hold more power. And to do that, we basically add different items to the top. Now, there are a few items you can use, but the ones that I've chosen to use because they're the easiest to make are the chalice, which is this guy over here. You can either use the empty one or the filled one. The filled one does do a better job, it adds more points, but the redstone soup that you need to make it is significantly harder to get. It requires tongue of a dog, as well as wool of a bat, as well as a drop of luck, which is made using stuff like refined evil and mutandis extremis, which require gas tiers and diamonds and all that stuff. So we're going to make the empty one, which is much, much easier to make. It just requires some gold, some golden nuggets, and an attuned stone again, which we've made like 5 times now. So we're going to do that, and we're also going to get ourselves a skeleton skull and stick that on there as well. And that should take us to about 3,000 points in the altar, which is more than enough to make the golden chalk. So just a second ago, I did actually try and get some skeleton skulls. I killed about 5 or 6 skeletons during the last night. You can see I got some more bones and some more arrows, but I didn't actually get any skeleton skulls. Now, I'm fairly certain that you used to be able to get skeleton skulls just by killing skeletons. I don't know if that's been changed in Feed the Beast Infinity Expert Mode, or if I just got unlucky, but there is one way to kind of increase your chances of getting a skeleton skull drop from a skeleton, and that is by killing a skeleton with the Athena, I think is how it's pronounced, the Athena sword from Witchery, which is made using some gold, gold nuggets, another mana pearl, and some living wood twigs. So I'm going to try that. Now, we've got a pearl over here still from the ender pearl that died inside of our smeltery. So we're going to try this again. We're going to take you. We do, I believe, already have some living wood lying around in our chest over here, so we'll grab some of that as well. We do also need to quickly charge up our jetpack. Let me just throw these on the floor for now. Charge that guy up in there. I will then dump some of this random junk into here. We'll take this living wood and we'll get rid of that. I guess we can go ahead and kind of just dump most of our stuff into the system there. Cool stuff. Let's make some twigs. Thank you very much. And that should pretty much be it. We need one more gold ingot for the top there. I will take back my jetpack. Thank you very much. And we should be able to make ourselves the Athena sword. So we'll go boom, boom, and boom. Nice. So, what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go away, I'm going to try kill some skeletons, see if I can get a skeleton skull. I'm going to make that chalice, because mostly it's just me making that attuned stone over again, and I'll be back in a second. And a little while later, we now have both the chalice and the skeleton skull. So what we can do is we can go and add both of those items to our altar, and it should increase its max power to high enough to make the golden chalk. So we're going to throw down the chalice first on this guy. I don't think it really matters where on the altar you actually put it. I'm going to put it there, and if we look inside, we can see it now holds 2,606, and then if we put down the skeleton skull, boom, it now holds 3,909, which is more than enough for making the golden chalk. And also, I believe putting both of those on does increase its recharge rate. And you'll see over here it now says 2 times instead of just 1 time, so it makes stuff twice as fast, which is pretty cool. And now all we need to do is kind of just sit around and wait for this to get up to 2,800. And then I think the golden chalk should just make itself at that point. Whilst we're waiting for that to finish over there, I did add a few more blaze powder to our compressor, so this should now also be done. We got 12 of those. We need to make two of those into brewing stands. So, once we've got 2 of those, all we need to do is go ahead and stick those into the blood altar, and they should start to suck up some of the blood. I think this thing is actually full right now, which by default is 10,000 life points. I don't know if that's quite how many are in there just yet, because I don't know if it's been tweaked for Feed the Beast Infinity Evolved Expert Mode, but there we go, that's 1. If we put that in again, that should get us 2. I'm going to quickly check on this out here, because the last thing I want is for my chalk to be crafted and then to despawn. There it is, look at that, boom. It actually worked. I love it. Okay, cool. So, we now have the golden chalk. We have 1 of the 2 alchemical chemistry sets that we need. Let me close that real quick so we don't get attacked by spiders. Let's grab this guy who is up on the top there. Our Sailor's Mundus should be ready to go in the furnace. Let's get rid of like that. And then let's grab that. Thank you very much. I don't want the crop sticks. I'll come back for those later. Over in our furnace, let me just dump some stuff out here so we can actually use our inventory. Let's get rid of some of this. I will organize that between episodes. Our Sailor's Mundus is here, so we can go ahead and make ourselves the blaze lamp. We can put that there. We have, I think, almost everything else. We have the Sailor's Mundus. We have the 2 alchemical chemistry sets. We have the golden chalk. All that we're missing is the living rock, which we can grab fairly easily once we've gotten through this spider. Get out of here. All right, we will take 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Would have been much easier to do with our hammer, but that is fine. I'll take that. Please don't kill me, zombies. Today is not my day to die. And without further ado, this took way too long, but boom, we have ourselves an alchemical catalyst, which we can now go outside and put underneath our blood altar. Not underneath our blood altar, underneath our mana pool. And we can make extra cool stuff inside of our mana pool now. And with that, guys, I'm going to end this episode of Feed the Beast Infinity Evolved there. Thanks for watching. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to like. It really does help out a lot. Leave a comment down below. And I will see you guys next time.